Hello Modkit Mayhemers. This week we're doing something different. It's not a plastic kit, and I'm sorry if you're a little bit disappointed about that, but I did say I was going to try and do different things, and in the spirit of that I thought I'd build a paint shelf. The airbrush stand came out really well, and I've been using that. That's been great, but I needed something doing with my paints because, like many of us, I store them in a kind of tub, and when it comes to actually painting, you have to search for it, find it, and then you can it's always the last paint you pick out once you've searched through all of them to actually to use. So I thought I'd organise them on a shelf or rack, as it were, and that would allow me to find them much quicker and and kind of build a system. So using what I had laying around, I kind of fitted something together and kind of worked out a plan. And the first sort of idea was to use a thinner piece of wood with a hole in it, and the paint would fit through that onto a kind of block and sort of be secured, but that didn't kind of work out, as you'll see. So what you'll need is a plank, 2 pieces of beading, a 25mm drill bit, a 6mm pilot drill bit, a basic hacksaw or a saw, a drill of course, and then pencil and ruler just to make sure everything's straight, and then a vise or a workbench to hold it in place because you do need a little bit of help with that. So I started with the thinner pieces of wood, and to be honest, straight away I could see that it wasn't going to work. It actually snapped halfway through. I mean, I was trying to put 6 holes in instead of 5, so it's probably partly my own fault in that sort of sense, but it was too much work. I went back to the drawing board and decided just to put the holes in the actual larger pieces of wood. Tested the idea and it worked fine, and the actual paint fitted in perfectly, so rather than make it more complex than it needed to be and more cutting, just use simple blocks of wood. I taped out onto the 25mm drill bit the depth I wanted them to go at, and then tried my best to just make sure I drilled down to that depth. So this is the test piece of wood, and just to see if I could actually do it. And then again I put 6 into this, and then I realised it probably was better to put just 5 into the 20mm space. It would just be too much, and it looked a bit messy. So although I'd have 1 less paint per shelf, it worked out better to do it with just 5. So I measured that up, put 5 onto the 20. And then just made a little jig with 1 piece so that I could continuously use that to mark out the next one, and use it to drill through with a 6mm bit to make a pilot hole for the larger 25mm bit. And I actually had 18 shelves to make, so that took two pieces of beading. So I got it all lined up and then drilled it out in one go. And it turns out there's actually 90 holes, so you're going to be there for a bit. It was a lovely summer's rainy day, so I just got on with the job. Once I drilled them, I found the best way to actually get rid of the kind of rougher parts was actually take a sharp brand new bladed Stanley knife, cut out the edges around. It takes a while. Again, it's 90 holes that you have to do this with, so you're going to be there for a bit, but it's a lot quicker. Just kind of almost taper the edges so that the paint fits in better, and then we'll sand it after. So using a piece of sandpaper, I just went through each hole and just sanded them smooth as I possibly could. You're not going to be able to get into right into the depth of it very easily, so a power tool would have been good for this, but I didn't have anything that would do the job. Maybe in the future I will, but I just got a good old piece of sandpaper and some elbow grease. Once I'd done all that, I then cut the pieces down. I'd marked them out anyway, so all I had to do was just use a hacksaw, which gave me the cleanest cut, and work my way through 18 of the shelves. Once I'd got all the shelves built, I then marked out the backing board, ready to glue them on. I did think about I'd maybe have to put a screw through the back just to make them more secure, but to be honest, the glue held them really tight. They don't have a huge amount of weight. 5 paints doesn't add up to a lot, so that would have been overkill in the end. And just used some normal PVA glue and glued them down, and then left it overnight. There's so many different ways you could do this, and so many different kind of options you could have, trying different methods and different kind of thicknesses of wood, and even you could use maybe some large pieces to put something in for Tamiya paints because they're a little bit bigger. I could actually maybe fill the actual pilot holes after, for satisfaction as it were. I could actually use some wood filler and just get rid of them in future. Maybe if I paint it I'll do that. And once it dried overnight, I then put some screws into a wall with some plugs and mounted it to the wall. Standard way of doing things, you know, shelves or anything. Nothing particularly complicated in that. I put 3 screws in, 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom just to hold it in place. You know, it's pretty secure then, it's not going anywhere. And then, yeah, and then put the paints in. I didn't have any particular order and I'm still not sure how I'm going to kind of like organise it. Put some numbers on there or actually paint a little bit of the paint on to sort of show the colour. I'm still thinking about that. But I'm definitely going to paint it with some satin wood so it'll just match into the room and tie in with the door and everything. Got so many paints, I might have to build another one. In fact, I know I will. So that'll be my, one of my next jobs. But on the whole, to be honest, I'm really happy with it. It worked out really well and it looks tidy and yeah, perfect for the job. So I know this week's been a bit more of a kind of tool rather than a model kit. Next week's the Apache, so I'll get that finished. I hope you can build something like this yourself and, you know, and it might come in handy. Thanks very much for watching. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. Take care. Cheers for now. Ta-ra. Bye.